Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is a special day for doing a Facebook Live. I am hoping that we get a lot of folks coming to watch because we're playing with a super sweet set. It's called, well, it's a bundle, and it's called The Fluffiest Friends. And I wanted to show you how you could turn it into a Christmas set because at first glance, you might not think it is. So if you have never joined me before, my name is Joanne Rogers. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999, and I am so happy to welcome you into my studio. So I'm just going to turn down that light just a tiny little bit. Let's make sure I'm in the right place because that has happened before. So if you have never been here before, please, or even if you have been here tons of times, be sure to say hello and let me know that where you're watching from so that I can see where we are, where we're broadcasting. And also, please, I would love it if you shared this with your friends and your family because crafting and handmade cards is the best thing in the world, isn't it? And we can get so much fun and enjoyment out of the craft, but to give away what we make is really what this is all about. So I'm going to start right away. I'm going to talk just a little bit about the bundle when I turn you down, and then we're going to get crafting. Hello, Pamela. Hello, Diane. Thank you for coming and watching, ladies. This is a new morning day for me, and maybe it's the start of something new. So I'll be sure to welcome your comments too at the end so you can let me know. I'm looking at myself on my iPad. I have the most ridiculous look on my face, so I'm hoping that you're still able to see. Let me know. Put it into the comments if you can still see me fine, see my fingers moving. And Anne, I'm sorry, but I thought that I set that up for you. You'll be able to watch it on the replay. I'm really sorry that there's no captions there for you. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I may have a little bit of a problem. It might be a little bit blurry, but just bear with me. If you have any problems, head out and then come back in again, okay? And you should be able to see it fine. Okay, this is the Fluffiest Friends bundle. Now, I think if you followed me for a while, you watched me on my blog and in my lives, you know that I really like to get value out of what I purchase. And at first glance, this stamp set may not seem like it has lots of value to you. To me, it does. The one thing it doesn't have is words in it, but that's okay because then that gives you way more options because you can mix and match it with a whole bunch of different words that you already have. But there's all kinds of occasions that you can get out of this stamp set for everything. So you can do a thinking of you, you can do a kid's birthday party, you can do Valentine's, you could probably even get Halloween out of here if you wanted to try. There are so many things you can do with it, and I want to focus today on Christmas. And you can probably tell by my voice that I am really excited about this. So in the stamp set, there are 9 different designs, and they're all about coloring. Or you can do them in black and white if you like. Wouldn't this make, if you actually took some paper, stamped them all out with Versamark, and gave a little pack of colored pencils to a little person and the little booklet? Wouldn't that be fun for them to color? It'd give them all kinds of fun things to do. But it also has the Fluffiest Friends dies. And there are 21 dies in here. And what's great about our dies is that we often get dies that will cut out all of the images in here. The images that will not be cut out in the stamps are these flowers and the bees. Everything else has a die that will go right around it. And you can see right here, now this is just slightly smaller than what the bear actually is, but it's going to go all the way around and cut them out. We also have some additional dies. We have some balloons. We have lots of little leaves. We have a beehive, some flowers, and then we have a branch. And so today what I'm going to do is we are going to be working just with the beaver, and we're going to also work with his little den or lodge. I guess that's a little den. His beaver house. What is that? Somebody can tell me what it is. And there, yeah, 21 dies, Karen. There's a lot. And I'm on tiptoe because I cannot see myself on my iPad. So I'm sorry if I don't see your comments. I'd love to see them, but they're not coming through for me right now. So I'm glad that everybody's able to see. Is that a lodge? Is that a house? Well, beaver dam. It's not a beaver dam. Maybe it's a beaver dam. Anyway, we are going to use this guy. We're also going to use this guy, and we are going to use the die to cut him out. So I'm going to just pull this out. We're going to pull out our beaver, and we're also going to pull out the, I'm going to call it the house. I'm going to call the beaver house, okay? I'm going to put those aside for right now. And we are going to actually be working with watercolor today. So I'm going to bring in one of my larger acrylic blocks. And I'm also going to bring in markers. So my Stampin' Write markers are great for doing acrylic watercolor. And I'm going to show you how to use those. We're going to use our water painters, and I'm going to use the large one. It comes a set of 3, a small brush tip, a large brush tip, and then a flat one. And we are going to use the brush tip like this. So I'm going to pull that out just to have it. But first of all, we're going to stamp. So we're going to stamp our beaver. Okay, so this is a cling stamp, meaning that it's not see-through, but it has the foam and the rubber right in it. And because we're going to be working with the watercolor, yeah, a lodge. Okay, thanks, Chris. We are using StazOn ink. Now, the thing with StazOn, if you haven't got it, you don't have to have StazOn, but what is good about StazOn is that once you stamp it, it's permanent. But what that also means is it's going to stain your rubber stamps. And so you want to be, clean it off fairly soon after you stamp with it. And will this guy fit here? He will. So I'm just going to stamp him down here. And you want to give a fairly good impression because we're using our Fluid 100 watercolor paper. And you can see it's actually a little bit, I'm going to stamp that again because I want to get even a little bit darker. So I missed a little bit on the little heart that he's holding. I can still use that one, but I want this one to be a little bit darker. So I'm pressing a little harder. We are going to cut it out. That's a better impression. And I'm going to clean it off right now. Now you can just clean it off with your simple chamois. But what you're going to get is you're still going to get the black on your stamp pad, okay? It's not a bad thing. It won't transfer onto the next thing that you stamp. It just stains it and it's permanent. Now you can use a cleaner, which I don't have here right now, but there is a StazOn cleaner. If this bothers you, then you can clean it with your StazOn cleaner and it will come clean. We're going to use that again, but not him. Okay, so we are going to do 2 things. We're going to create a background, and we're going to do that. Well, we're going to do that second. Let's color him. So what we're going to do is we're just going to give ourselves some water here. So I'm just pressing it actually says push, just pressing on my water painter and getting some water out of there. And we're going to use that one just as a marker, but we're going to use our markers with the brush tip. So these are our Stampin' Write markers. There's a brush tip that you can use for coloring or for lettering, and there's a bullet tip. You can also use this for coloring. It's great for lettering, which this is new. We didn't have that before. And I'm just going to give myself a fair bit working on the side of the brush. And I'm going to give myself some early espresso. That's pecan pie, early espresso, and then also pebbled path. Okay, so we've got some brown, some gray kind of browns here that we're going to create and use. So we're going to do this guy first. You know what I'm going to do first? We are going to color in that heart. So I'm just going to use my marker full strength, and I'm going to just tap into the heart. And it's just going to be Melon Mambo. That's the color that I'm using here. And this is the cutest little heart. It's made out of little pieces of wood that are lashed together. Okay, so let's pick up some color. We're going to pick up some water, and I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is the pecan. Okay, so we're going to go in, and we're not going to give him water to start. We're just going to have lots of water in our brush, and we're going to have pick up our color. And we don't want a huge lot of color. We want light color. And we are just going to color right over top of everything. Okay, and that black is not going to go anywhere. So I've got a fair bit of water in my brush, and it's going to dry, but I don't want it to dry before I start to put a little bit of other color in there. Okay, so I'm going to just sort of haphazardly pick up a little bit more color, go in with water. Now this is the fun part about watercoloring, is that you're never going to get the exact, or at least I never do, get the exact same look again. So now I'm going to go and I'm going to pick up some of this pebbled path. And I'm going to go down the side. And can you see how that water is moving? We're going to go down the side and we are going to give a little bit more detail, some darker color around the outside. And Stampin' Up! Makes it really easy for us because they tell us where all the details are. So we don't even have to worry about it. So I'm going to give his tail, make it a little bit darker, make his feet a little bit darker. So we're still working fairly wet here, but things are starting to dry. So as they're starting to dry, things are not moving as much, and that's okay. Doesn't need to. So I'm going to clean that off. Now I do need to get myself paper towel. I didn't have that to start with. And I'm going to clean my brush just a little bit. So I don't like this part right here. It's a little bit too dark. So I can see that it's still shiny. So I'm going to go in and I'm just going to move that a little bit. While it's shiny, you can still get some movement out of it. Okay, so now I'm going to go in and maybe pick up some, I picked up Pebbled Path and Early Espresso, didn't I? I'm going to do his snout, I guess we're going to call it, a little bit darker. Do his ears a little darker. So we're just now just giving him a little bit of definition. That's all we're doing. And if we have a little bit of white showing, no big deal. That's great. That's one of the nice things about watercolor. So now I'm going to go in, give it the tail, just a little bit of darkness. And we're almost done. Okay, we're just going to let this dry. Okay, so I'm going to let that dry, and I might just go in. I can see that there's a lot of pink that got picked up here, so I am just going to go in and put a little bit more brown in. And the pink was just from the Melon Mambo. Okay, so there is our little guy, and I'm going to let him dry. So Marilyn, I can see let a, about using closed caption. Thank you, Marilyn, for the comment there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a background. So I'm going to clean this off. Okay, and I'm going to start again. So if you don't have markers, here's another thing that you can do. Okay, you can take your stamp pad. I like the markers because you can get a small amount. So I'm going to take my stamp pad and put my pecan pie right on there. I'm also going to put on a little bit of crumb cake in the other corner. I'm just leaving these ones because we are going to use them later. And then I'm also going to, whoops, wrong color. I forgot one color. Hold on. I always forget something. You know, that always happens. And we are going to also use Balmy Blue. So I'm going to put some Balmy Blue here. So we are going to create a little bit of a background. Now what I want to do first is I want to spray on here a little bit of my spritzer. Okay, so you can maybe see what the shine is on there. I don't want it super, super wet, but I'm going to start with my lightest color. Get some water there again. I'm going to start with my lightest color, which is my crumb cake. Okay, now you want to have fairly wet here. So we're going to start down at the bottom, and this is going to be like dirt. Okay, dirt, or you're going to see that we're going to actually put the lodge in there. So I'm working on the side of my brush. I could go in and get that flat brush, but I'm going to clean it off. You just press to clean and then clean with your paper towel. And now I'm going to get some, I have to press super hard on this. I'm going to pick up some of the blue. Okay, so I'm just going to create a little bit of blue up here. And this doesn't need to be perfect, okay? It doesn't need to be perfect. Try and have one go right into the other. And all you're doing, I have a fair bit of water in my brush. And when you have water in your brush, then you can get just that smooth movement from one color to the next. So I'm going to let that dry. We'll come back to that a little bit later. Oh, I do want to do one thing though. We're going to add, while it's still wet, we're going to add in crumb cake, we're going to add our lodge. All right, I'm going to clean that off just on my paper towel. And we're also going to turn it the other way. And let's add it that way. Okay, so we just want something underneath there. And while I still have that out, I have a piece of crumb cake. So let's just, now you're thinking, what the heck did you do that for? You'll see in just a second. So I'm going to stamp one more. This is pecan pie on top of crumb cake. And I'm going to clean those off. So we are done with the watercolor. Okay, so that's a great thing. We're done with the watercolor. We're going to put that aside. We're going to put that guy aside. And anything else I need to clean? I think I'll just clean off my block. So you don't use a huge amount of your ink when you are watercoloring. I'm just going to wipe this off and I'll clean this a little bit later with some alcohol so that it's nice and clean. There, I'm going to close up this guy, going to close up this guy because we're done with all of our stamping now except for our words. Okay, so here's what we have so far. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut this out just with the die, and we're going to cut our little beaver out with the die. Now what I like to do is I like to take a little bit of tape, which I forgot to bring with me. Take a little bit of tape just to hold it in place. And this is tape that I use over and over again. And it gets the stick removed. And eventually I do have to throw it out. But really, it is so inexpensive to take a piece of your low tack tape anyway. I moved that as I put it down. And then again. And he looks pretty good. And I'll just put that one there. You probably really don't need to. Now we're going to do a couple different things. We are going to cut out our background. It's still a little bit damp, but I can cut it out because I want to run my everything through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine at one time. So let me just pull it in here. We're able to, okay. See what I did there is I stuck it down to the counter as opposed to just sticking it down to the paper. Try that again without sticking it down. There we are. Okay, so we are going to pull in our Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and we need our small plates, which I forgot as well. It's a good thing things are not too far away. And for this one, we need our bottom number 1 plate, and we need 2 of our number 2s. So one goes on the bottom. We are going to run our little beaver through first. Okay, and our little guy is great when we are here doing some demos. It's also great if you go to any little retreats or things like that, that you're able to use them. As long as you're not working too big. If you're working too big, then they won't work. Get this going here. So one thing you do is sort of need to start your plates, and you can see probably that I'm not, and you don't need to be fully lined up. In fact, these ones sometimes work better if they are not fully lined up. Okay, what we're also going to use, stylish shapes, and these are a must-have requirement in everybody's, if you're a die cutter, then these need to be on your list. And just because the shapes, you've got circles, you've got squares, they are detailed on both sides of the cut. And we've got some banners too. They're some of my favorite ones that I use all the time. So we are going to put this piece in here. It's just the right size. And we're just going to, you can see how this has sort of melted into the paper, into the color, and that's fine. So I'm just going to push this. And so what you do is you just push this until it catches, and then you can hold on up here and run it through. Okay, and this is the largest circle. And we're done with our cutting. So we have a circle, we have a beaver lodge, and we have a beaver. So let's finish off the rest of it. So we're going to be working with our another piece of crumb cake and the Happy Holidays. I pulled, so when I said that this set is great because you can match it with any words, this is another set that is great because it has a lot of different sayings. So you've got Happy Holidays, which is what we're going to use today, but you can do birthdays. This is some thinking of you, Valentine's thank you. You got Halloween, cheers for New Year. But if you just did cheers to you, that'd be great for birthday too, or any type of congratulations, and Happy Easter. So we're doing Happy Holidays today. I'm going to do it in Melon Mambo. And what I'm thinking about here, now you guys don't know what the card looks like, but I want to actually stamp a little bit closer to the left edge, and just for how I'm going to be using this piece. So I'm going to get on my tiptoes and I'm going to put it over here. I'm hoping that's going to be straight. It isn't as imperative that it be straight because the words themselves are not straight. Oh, and I have a tiny little bit, but that's okay. Okay, so now let's do some putting together. So I have pulled in a piece of early espresso. Now, I do want to tell you all of these measurements. So because I love this bundle so much, what I'm doing is I'm offering for 4 days only, where if you purchase the bundle in my online store, that I have a PDF tutorial for this card as well as 2 other designs. So 2 other designs so that you can make these into Christmas cards. And I will send this to you free. So it's 4 days only starting today. And all you have to do is purchase this bundle. So the Fluffiest Friends bundle, the stamps and the dies in my online store, and use this host code. So it's 9E7E4GCZ, which is the same one as up here. Can you actually see that? I'm not even sure because I can't see on here. Okay, so I am using a piece of early espresso, and of course all the measurements are going to be on that PDF, and I will send that to you. This is a piece of the Joy of Christmas paper. So I have some little pieces here of it. And this is the paper on this side. So we've got lots of different greens, and we've got both our real red as well as our cherry cobbler. And then on this side, which I haven't used all that much, we have some pecan pie, some pebbled path, and then we have shaded spruce and our reds as well. So I'm using this piece here. That's that on one side and this on the other. And we're just going to glue that down. I'm just going to pull in my glue. And I know it seems a shame to use this up on this side, but this is the thing about our paper. We want to use it, right? That's why we have it. Okay, there's that. Now on our Happy Holidays, I want to turn it just into a banner. So I am going to clip in here right in the middle, or as close to the middle as I can get. I'm going to come from the diagonal on each one of them, and we're going to put this up here. Now I am going to have to put something up there over top of that guy. So we are going to glue that down. I went to take off the lid. Guess what? The lid's already off. Glue that down, and it's going to go so that I have a little bit at the top, but that I have it going almost right to the edge. And that's why we wanted to have our Happy Holidays so far over. All right. Now we're going to glue this guy down as well. It's pretty dry right now. If you were doing this at home, you might want to wait just a smidge longer to make sure it's completely dry, but you could always put this over top. Now, I'm going to be a little bit, see if I've got a little more give there. No, I don't. So I've got a little bit going over the edge here, but that's okay because the envelope you're going to put this in is a business-sized envelope and it will fit. Okay, so glue that guy down. We're going to glue this guy down as well. Okay, so we've got lots of, the reason why we stamped in the behind is just so that we had something in the background. I didn't want to have nothing there. It would look just a little bit too plain. So we're going to move this guy so it extends over the circle. We could have done a smaller circle, but he fits really well in here. So let's put some dimensionals on the back of him. Looks like I need a new one. There's one. Now, what if you didn't want to watercolor him? Your other options are certainly that you could use your Stampin' Blends, and I have him also done with Stampin' Blends. He's much more intense in terms of color in the Stampin' Blends than he is in the watercolor. And so that's an option, certainly, but I really like the watercolor effect for this particular card. Let's see, will that fit in there? Just perfectly. And let's give him one in the middle too, I think. Okay, so we're gonna take those off. Now, if you have a problem getting those off, a couple things. Stick your nail in so that they pop up from the edge, or pull in your Take Your Pick tool. And with the pointy part of the Take Your Pick tool, just hold down your image and then just lift them out. Now I can usually get 4 or 5 onto my Take Your Pick before I'm done. And then I have to clean them off and start again. So let's put our guy right in here. I don't know why he's a guy. Could be a gal. We'll put our gal right in there. And of course we need just something on to fancy him up, fancy her up here. And I don't know if I want that. Yeah, I think we're just going to do that. So this is just a piece of our wavy trim, and I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to take a glue dot, and I'm going to put my glue dot down right onto my card here. Now this is a little bit thicker trim than others, so you're probably going to need to put down another glue dot, which I'm going to do. I'm going to make this as small as I can because this has a little bit more dimension. I think I'm going to put one more glue dot on there just to make it more secure. I have a slightly different ribbon, so I'm going underneath here to put that on. I have a slightly different ribbon on the other one I did. So this is just going to give a tiny little bit of texture to our card for something a little bit different. And then the last thing I'm going to do is put on some glossy dots because we do need to cover up that little spot right there. So our glossy dots are Melon Mambo, so we're going to go for big. Start with the big one up here. Yeah, I think even though I wouldn't normally have put that big one right up there, I think in order to cover that up, that works. And I think we're going to put one right there. And we're going to put, do I want one on or off? I'm going to put 2 over here, right there. Okay, so that is your card. Let me show you the original one that I had done because it's in a different color. And you might want to do it in the other color. So you can decide which one of those you like the best. And it is the cutest little beaver. Perfectly works for Christmas. And again, don't forget, I'll have this PDF for anybody who purchases this bundle in my online store starting now, and into Sunday, so at the end of the day on Sunday. And I want to give as many of these PDFs away as I possibly can. So thank you everybody for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that, and I look forward to coming to see you a little bit more often than just on my Tuesday lives. So be careful out there. Have fun, enjoy your paper crafting. I hope that you got an idea or a thought or an inspiration a little bit today, and I would love to give you this free PDF. Have a great day. Bye-bye.